Mhm. Hello and welcome to this little video on the past tenses. I say the past tenses. In fact, there are several. Today I'm going to concentrate on the two most common, the simple past and the present perfect. These can be quite challenging for French speakers because in French they are both translated by the passé composé. Let me give you an example. So in French, if I want to say j'ai fermé la porte, j'ai fermé la porte. In English, there are two possibilities. There's the simple past tense and there is the present perfect. In the simple past, generally for regular verbs, we simply add ed to the infinitive. So I closed the door. For the present perfect, we use the verb have in a similar way to French, by the way. I have, and then we use the past participle, which for regular verbs is the same as the simple past. I have closed the door. So the formation of those two tenses is quite easy. The difficulty is knowing when to use the simple past and when to use the present perfect. As a very general rule, a little clue, if you like, is that with the simple past, we generally know when the action happened. It is either specifically said in the sentence, so I closed the door, for example, 2 minutes ago, or I closed the door before the lesson. Okay, so that gives you an idea of when I closed the door. With the present perfect, we don't know, and in fact, it's not that which is important. So we never know. We don't know when, and in fact, that is not important with the present perfect because we use this tense to show an effect in the present moment, in the present. Let me illustrate that for you. If you can see behind me, my door is closed. I could say two things. I could say, I have closed the door, because the effect in the present moment is that the door is closed. I could also say, I closed the door before the lesson. Let me illustrate further. If I now open the door, now I can say I have opened the door. I can no longer say I have closed the door because in the present, the door is open. So there is no effect of my past action in the present moment. I can only say I have opened the door. If I close it again, now once again, I can say I have closed the door. So I hope that illustrates a little bit the use of the present perfect. Now, when we use the present perfect, this is one of the reasons when we want to show an effect in the present moment. In fact, there are two main uses. So this is the first use, if you like. If I just put a little one beside it, it's to show an effect in the present moment, the effect of a past action. If I can do it like that. But there is another use, and that second use, if I can illustrate with an example. if I can give you, what shall I use as an example? I visited New York 5 years ago. I visited New York. Generally, we say when. Okay, so similarly to my example with closing the door, I say when, or in 2016. Yes, I visited New York in 2016. I tell you when I visited New York. With the present perfect, we use that to say, I have visited New York. I don't tell you when, because that is not important. The important fact is that I have visited New York at some point in my life. So what you see here, during my life, let me add that. We don't say that, of course, but it might help you understand, because what we are seeing here, it's the second use of the present perfect. In fact, if I put it over here to make it a little clearer, the second use of the present perfect is also used to refer to an event in a period of time which includes the present. So once again, there is a link with the present, hence the name present perfect. Yeah, present. There is always a link. Remember that. Always a link with the present perfect. Yeah. So this is why we use the present perfect when we want to talk about our lives. It is very important, in fact, in conversations when you meet someone, could be during a job interview, you will be asked, what have you done? What jobs have you done in your career? Have you done this particular activity before? We will often add the word ever to emphasize, if you like. So we will say, have you ever visited New York? Have you ever visited New York at some point in your life? Because you are alive, the period of time which includes your life is obviously still active. Yes, it is a period of time which is still continuing. We use it for other periods of time, by the way. If I can just continue with this second point, we could say, for example, I have, what can I say? I have seen lots of friends this week. I have seen lots of friends this week, because this week is not finished yet. However, if I want to refer to a period of time which is finished, for example, last week, then I cannot say I have seen. I must then say I saw. I saw lots of friends last week. Okay, so period of time. So if I can just summarize, present perfect, always a link with the present, and we do not say when the event happened. Simple past is for a past event with no effect in the present, and we generally say when it happened. In fact, we always understand when it happened, and generally we explicitly say somehow or other, or it is understood in the context. When it's a period of time, if that period of time is finished, then we must use the simple past. If that period of time includes the present moment, we use the present perfect. Perhaps I can illustrate by one other means. in a way that might help you understand better. If I take this line, we call this a timeline. Let's assume it's your life. And we have now at one end, and we have when you were born at the other, born. Okay. And during this timeline, you have done many things. If I ask, or if you tell me, for example, I have, what shall I say? I have flown in a helicopter. Just take an example, helicopter. I have flown in a helicopter. Okay, that's something which not everybody has done. So you want to tell me that's something about you. I have flown in a helicopter. Now, when you say I have, this event could be anywhere along your timeline. You do not tell me when, just the fact that you have, and that's an interesting fact. So when you tell me that, let's just put it there for the moment, I am interested. So I will probably say, that's interesting. But then I will swap to the simple past. When I ask the question, when did you fly in a helicopter? When did you fly? Because I want to know when. And you will then say, I flew in a helicopter in 2010. Pure example, yeah, in 2010. So let me move that to, let's say, about there. And at that point, that event is anchored in the past. Let's say it's anchored in the year 2010. When you use the tense, I flew in a helicopter, yeah, that is then an event which is fixed. And that's why we use the simple past. Okay, so I hope this little overview of these two tenses, the simple past and the present perfect, has been helpful. You are very welcome to ask me questions. If it is quite clear to you, you might be interested in watching the next little video in which I will explain about the present continuous. Not the present continuous, the present perfect continuous. Let me get that right. The present perfect continuous tense. If you don't know what that is yet, don't worry. The important thing is to be aware of the differences between these two, the simple past and the present perfect. See you soon. Bye-bye.